Well, it's not going to work, okay? I'll start right there. I probably could end right there. Sidney Crosby and Evgeni Malkin skating together is not going to work. Good morning to you. Good Tuesday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Pirates in the same place that you found this. Penguins versus Wild tonight at PPG Paints Arena. All eyes will be, well, a lot of eyes will be on the other team, since Marc-Andre Fleury will be in net for what's almost certainly going to be his career finale in Pittsburgh. But I have a feeling that once all of the fuss settles and the introductions and the video tribute and everything else, everyone's going to be reminded that this is a hockey team, meaning the local one, that's in trouble. And if anyone needed a further reminder of that, beyond the 3-6-1 start, beyond the disastrous Western Canada trip just now, beyond all of the statistics that have the Penguins ranked as the worst defensive team in the NHL, there they were at practice yesterday in Cranberry, Sid and Geno. Same line. It was Sid, Geno, and Rickard Rakell. Now, I'm not going to be a dummy here and suggest that there isn't some skill on that line. There's a lot of it, including Rakell. And when I say that, I'm not putting an asterisk on it or referring to stuff from the past. I'm talking about right bleeping now. Sid, Geno, and Rakell is a highly skilled trio. And in the absence of Brian Rust, who didn't practice yesterday, and I wouldn't expect to be around for a while. That looked like a knee out in Vancouver. This is something that you do. It's something that you try. And in actuality, it's something that, as Mike Sullivan acknowledged himself yesterday, is something that he's tried a lot more often through these first 10 games.
Well, they're pretty dynamic players. And so, you know, we're trying different combinations to see if we can't get, see if we can't create a spark for the group. And, we've had a number of different combinations here in the first little while in the early part of the season. And, given the circumstance and where we are right now, we thought we'd give it a try in practice today, see what it looked like. They had a fair amount of time together in the third period the other night in Vancouver. They had a handful of pretty good shifts. I've used them a lot more so than any other year in my time together these first 10 games, whether it be selectively, situationally after icings or in particular times in the game that, when we felt we were trying to create momentum or generate some offense. I mean, obviously, they're generational talents, both of them. And so when they're potentially out there on the ice at the same time, then that could pose a particular threat. So we thought we would give it a shot. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, it used to be that Sullivan would only do the two-headed monster thing coming off a penalty kill, and Sid and Geno are both sitting on the bench for 2 straight minutes. You want to get them active and involved again right away, so he'd put them out there together. But that's not what it was in Vancouver. In the third period, they were together, and of course, Geno scored a goal that pulled the Penguins within 4-3, while Sid drew an inordinate amount of attention at center ice. Geno just kind of scooped up the puck and took off. So now that I've underscored all the potential positives, let me go at the real stuff. This isn't going to work, okay? There's a reason that for the better part, the overwhelming majority of 2 decades, you have not seen these players share an ice surface other than, of course, on power plays. It's not that they can't coexist. It's not that they lack, whatever chemistry or camaraderie. They're just both centers. And on top of that, they're both very different types of centers. I mean, they couldn't be more different, even if you're just focused on the attacking zone. Sid works down low. Sid's made one of the greatest careers in NHL history by working down low. And the only way that he's effective down low is if he has others supporting him down low. That's why he loved it with Jake Gensel. That's why he loves it with Rust. That's why he loved it with Pascal Dupuis, with Chris Kunitz. You can just keep going back and back and back, and you'll find a commonality there. This episode is brought to you by Bet Online, your number one source for all your summer sports needs this season, from Major League Baseball, golf, NHL, NBA playoffs. Get the latest odds and lines, including all team matchups, player props, odds on just about everything that's out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Bet Online, where the game starts. Geno, on the other hand, works high. It's always been his thing to work high. No, I'm not talking about the power play point. I'm talking about 5-on-5. I'm talking about being the last guy to join the rush, the late arrival, the guy who's presenting his blade to somebody who just spun around somewhere else in the zone. That's Geno. That's what he does. He makes things happen in the open ice, and the softer ice is always going to be higher in the zone rather than lower. So he's not going to be down low to support Sid. If he is, he's not going to be effective at it. Sid, similarly, isn't going to be inclined to turn around and try to find Geno. Of course, Sid can do all of that stuff. Sid can do anything. But his game's always been fueled by a sustained attack, by keeping possession in the offensive zone. More possession equals more opportunity for him to create something, even if it's out of nothing. Now, the other point to weigh in this, I don't think this is a positive either, is, well, they've moved Geno to the wing. Shh. I did tell you right here on this show over the summertime that that's something that they'd been discussing. If there was going to be one part of Geno's game that they could adjust, whether it's to cover up for defensive shortcomings or losing some speed, it did come up. And to be honest with you, I was a little surprised that it never came up in training camp or preseason or anything like that, because that would have been a nice time to do that sort of thing if you were serious about it. The reason that I don't believe, and I expressed this to you months ago, that they would get serious about it, at least not for any significant span, is that in the Sullivan system, he needs, this is according to him, his wingers to be the first on the puck. If the Penguins dump it in, even if they don't, even if there's just a, chip it by somebody and get down the boards, he needs that winger to be first. If that winger isn't first, or at least really heavy on that puck, that initial foray into that zone, everything else dies. It's what's known in hockey as a one and done. The other guys get the puck, boom, they come right out. So you had one entry and you're right out, one and done. Now, I will challenge you, who have been watching Geno for 18 years, to envision Sid dumping the puck. I can't even finish the sentence. Into the left wing corner, and Geno bursting in there like Drew O'Connor to come away with it. This isn't going to happen. This isn't going to happen. None of this is going to happen. This isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. I will, at the very least, applaud Sullivan and everyone else for trying something, for taking a look, for seeing how they'd react, because 3-6-1 is what it is. But this won't be the answer. When we come back, J1Q. Today's J1Q comes from Eileen, who says, DK, you asked in the Monday episode if we fans were expecting to see more accountability or a different system at practice when the team got back. And then you mentioned yourself that wasn't going to happen. Based on the way the team is currently playing, do you think that the players have started to tune Mike Sullivan out? I get where this is coming from. I get that in hockey, more than any other sport, the very first thing that a lot of people think about in the event of a slump, even a modest slump, is, well, the players aren't listening to the coach. As such, the coach has become literally useless, because that's all the coach is there to do, is to give the players something that they would listen to. And therefore, the coach has to go. And in a lot of cases in hockey, again, more than any other sport, the players can control this. I am so not there. I'm not even in that solar system. I'm just not. I don't detect anything from the players, from anybody, anywhere in either of the buildings in Cranberry or the arena where the front office people are. I don't detect anything that suggests that anybody's tuning out Sullivan or contemplating his demise or anything like that. What I sense here is that there's a realization that there's a lot of stuff going wrong and that some of it might already be out of their control, meaning that it was in their control at one point, signing contracts, adding players and so forth and deploying systems, but that it's out of it now. And I just don't see an escape hatch here. I don't see an escape hatch even if Sullivan were to, let's just do this. Let's have a hypothetical. Let's say Sullivan showed up for practice yesterday and just altered his system, just flushed it. Not altered it, just flushed it down the commode. That's it. No more defenseman pitching. We're gonna do this like it's 1975. Okay, everybody stays back. When we have a lead, all five stay back. There's no forwards having to cover for anybody. There's no miscommunication about who should have been where because it's going to be like, rod hockey. You know what I'm talking about? On your table where the skaters can only go forward and backward except for that last little curve up in the corners. That's what it's going to be like. You stay in your lanes. Gordie Howe, Bobby Hull, Jean Beliveau, everybody just stays where they are. Well, that wouldn't work. That wouldn't work. Not in the current circumstance. Because in the current circumstance, you have defensemen who are either playing badly or who are bad defensemen. And it's funny, but for all the stuff that was going on in Cranberry yesterday and, Marc-Andre Fleury and Sid and Geno together and everything else here, what's going to go relatively unnoticed, at least until tonight, is that he had Erik Karlsson and Matt Grzelcyk together. What is it that you think is going to result from that pairing? Like when you put that down on paper and then you put it out on the ice for a practice, there's got to be some kind of conviction somewhere in the deepest corners of your cranium that says, man, yeah, that's got a chance. You know what I'm saying? But what are you going to do? I've been saying this about the defenseman now through 10 games. What are you going to do? You can put Ryan Shea in place of Jack St. Ivany. Shea doesn't do well, you put Jack back in, and that's it. That's it. That's the Chad Ruhwedel depth chart. That's all that is. They're not going to take Grzelcyk out. They think he's something. I have no idea why, but they think he's something. They're certainly not going to bench Chris Letang. They're certainly not going to bench Karlsson. They're certainly not going to bench Marcus Pettersson. Partly because they wouldn't want to, but, partly because, again, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Look, I take a lot of pride in doing this program and trying not to just wag a finger. Whatever the subject might be, I always try to throw in at least a potential solution. Not that my idea is going to be good, not that my idea is going to be better than theirs, but let's at least just try to think about something that might be better than what it is that I'm criticizing. And I got nothing here. I got nothing. I'm sorry. I know this isn't even what you asked about, Eileen, but I keep coming back to the defenseman. There's more problems than just that. But that's the one that most requires the largest fix. And I don't believe it exists. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Penguins. I'll be covering the game tonight against the Wild, writing a column about it for DK Pittsburgh Sports, and back with another one of these tomorrow.